Deep Rock Galactic is one of the most unique games ever made, and while it has great mechanics and stunning visuals, there are core issues and things that you must know before buying it. But the game is set in a dangerous underground world, and it is dark, mysterious, and filled with various biomes and alien creatures. Now the main focus of the game will be on cooperative gameplay, where you and your friends will take on the role of space dwarves, and you will need to mine precious resources and battle hostile enemies. The world of Deep Rock Galactic is procedurally generated, meaning every mission will bring a new and unique environment to explore. Additionally, one of the coolest aspects of the game is the entirely destructible environment, which allows you to dig and shape the terrain to your advantage. And it further adds another layer of strategy and creativity that makes the game stand out even more. Now for the main gameplay, it is all about cooperative gameplay. The main point is to work together, either with your friends or other players online. And you will then need to explore underground caves, gather valuable resources, and complete various missions while fighting off alien creatures. And therefore, the game will cater heavily to players who enjoy teamwork, strategy, and a mix of exploration and combat. So a typical mission might look like this. You and your team are dropped into a random cave with very specific objectives. This could be mining a certain amount of minerals or retrieving some kind of item. And as you explore, you'll encounter various dangers. This could be toxic gas, hostile creatures, and much more. And every player has a character with their own unique abilities and tools that you can then use to overcome these challenges. For example, the scout can use a grappling hook to reach high places, while the engineer can deploy turrets to defend the team. And there's a total of 4 classes: driller, engineer, gunner, and scout, each of them with their own tools and weapons, which you can customize and improve. For example, the driller would start with very simple drills, but can eventually upgrade to a way more powerful version that can cut way faster. But we'll get further into the progression system later on. So the key gameplay mechanics will be resource gathering, environmental manipulation, and combat. So for the resource gathering, you'll be mining various minerals and materials that can be used to upgrade equipment and unlock new abilities. The environmental manipulation will allow you to dig through walls, create tunnels, and shape the terrain to your advantage. And of course, the combat will involve fighting off massive waves of aliens using any combination of firearms, explosives, and your class-specific weapons. And this ties into the replayability, which is one of the game's strong points. The procedural generation of the cave systems ensure that no 2 missions will ever be quite the same. Additionally, the game's progression system, with a great amount of upgrades and unlocks, can keep you playing for a long time. And this is all done by completing missions that earn you XP and resources that you can then use to upgrade your character, which provides a pretty good progression system. Now at the start, you'll have access to the basic equipment and a limited number of mission types. But as you complete missions, you'll earn more XP and resources. These rewards allow you to level up your character and upgrade your weapons and tools. Now in the early parts of the game, the missions are very simple and the enemies are not very dangerous. And you'll have a main focus on learning the game's mechanics and understand the pros and cons of every class. But as you progress, the missions will become way more complex, with tougher enemies and additional objectives. You'll need to strategize and utilize your equipment to succeed, which also ties us into the progression system. Now while the progression system involves unlocking new weapons, every class also have their own unique skill tree, so you can unlock additional perks and customize your playstyle. For example, the gunner can upgrade their minigun for increased firepower, while the scout can enhance their grappling hook for even better mobility. Now you do not play Deep Rock Galactic for its storyline. There is some which is quite lighthearted and provides a fun backdrop for the missions. Basically, you play as space dwarves working for a mining corporation, but the main storyline does not take center stage. Instead, the game is more heavily focused on the gameplay and the cooperation between you and your friends. Now one of the best and most unique features of the game is the procedural generation system for the cave environments. Every mission you go on will generate a new and different cave layout filled with various resources, enemies, and hazards, ensuring that no 2 missions are ever quite the same. And the way it works is simple yet brilliant, and this feature really impacts the game significantly by encouraging a lot of exploration and adaptability. You must be able to communicate with your team and work together to navigate these unpredictable cave systems. For example, one mission might require you to dig through a tunnel, another mission might require a zipline to cross a massive hole. And this means that every mission will present a new challenge, but also new opportunities. And this entire procedural generation system is hands down one of the best features of the game and makes it truly stand out. Now I want to talk a little bit about the game difficulty. It is actually quite balanced and is accessible to both new players while still being challenging for more experienced players. The game does not overly hold your hand, which also encourages a lot of learning through trial and error. And you can quickly find yourself overwhelmed by a swarm of enemies if you don't plan carefully. And the game has a good learning curve, where the earlier missions are very simple and not that hard, but as you progress, they'll of course become more challenging but also longer. But since you now know the basics and you have unlocked more weapons and perks, you are also much stronger. Now Deep Rock Galactic has really vibrant and detailed graphics, and even though you're stuck in a cave, the world feels alive. The environments are richly detailed, with unique cave systems that feel both mysterious but also very dangerous. One of the things I noticed the most was the game's lighting effects, and the they actually play a really big role in creating a sense of depth and immersion. The sound design is equally impressive. You have the background music that really enhances the overall atmosphere, switching from calm to intense as the action heats up, but you also have the sound effects, like the crunch of a rock under your foot, or the echoing roars of alien creatures getting closer and closer. And the graphics and sound combination creates a really gripping atmosphere that pulls you directly into the game world. The detailed visuals and the dynamic audio work really well together to make the cave exploration and the battle against alien hordes a really good experience. But with all that said, let's look at the pros and the cons here, and these are very important. The first pro is hands down the co-op gameplay. It is one of the best games ever to play with your friends, where teamwork is not only nice, but also required if you want to complete missions and overcome the hardest challenges. The next pro is the unique characters. Each of the 4 classes have their own unique abilities and tools, which will make the gameplay quite diverse and interesting, as you can swap between characters depending on the missions you're about to face. The next pro is the procedurally generated levels, which adds a ton of replayability and keeps the game quite exciting every time you play. And the last pro is the stunning visuals and sounds. The graphics are really vibrant and detailed, and the sound design further adds to this overall immersive experience, making it really chaotic at times. Now for the cons. The first con, and probably the biggest one, is the somewhat repetitive missions. So although the procedural generation adds a ton of variety, the core mission types are pretty much the same and will feel repetitive after a while. And the other con is the performance issues. Now if you have a high-end PC, there are no issues, but on lower-end PCs, the game can suffer from performance issues, especially in very intense scenes with a lot of enemies and effects. Now let's grade the game. And Deep Rock Galactic, hands down, deserves an 8.5 out of 10, where the game's cooperative gameplay being the main focus and also the strongest point. And the developers have done a great job of making teamwork essential, and it is truly a fantastic choice for friends who want to work together or slightly troll each other. Furthermore, the variety in the classes and their progression systems really adds a ton of depth and strategy to the gameplay, keeping it both engaging but also very fresh. But some of the things I enjoy the most are the graphics and the sound design, and they are truly impressive. The detailed visuals and the eerie atmospheric sounds of the alien caves makes you feel like you're really there. Now the game isn't perfect by any means. As a new player, you might struggle a bit with the learning curve, and some mission types can feel repetitive after a while, and of course the performance issues on lower end PCs. But in conclusion, Deep Rock Galactic is a must buy for you if you love cooperative multiplayer games, where teamwork and strategy are the main focus. The game's crazy high replay value and immersive atmosphere really makes it a standout in the genre. However, if you're looking for a game with a big variety of mission types, or a very strong narrative that will guide you through the entire game, this probably isn't for you. But if you love working together with your friends, tackle challenging missions, and delve deep into chaotic environments, this game is definitely worth your time and money. For more amazing games, click here.